Hi, I'm JJ, and you're listening to Microphone Munchies. Food for thought, they'll get you hungry for more. So, happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. If you're in Toronto, I hope you're enjoying this nice, lovely warm weather that we're having or that we had today. I hope you went outside if you had the chance, and I hope you stay safe. Um, Today what I want to talk about is I actually want to talk about something that I've been thinking about quite a lot this week. And to be honest with you, I have no answers, so I'm just going to say that up front. Today I'm just going to work through some stuff, I guess, and hopefully some of the things that I talk about, some of my reflections, hopefully hopefully some of it is useful for you. Hopefully some of it makes sense, and maybe it will help unlock something in your mind, or it'll make you think of something new. So specifically what I want to talk about, the main focus is this concept. I guess it's kind of like an inner struggle, an inner battle between this idea of having like a positive abundance mentality and this kind of a scarcity or poverty mentality based on, either past trauma, past experiences, past pain, or just fear, to be honest. And I want to work through some of this, and I don't know, it's just something that I'm thinking about. And basically for 2021, one thing that I'm trying to do more of is trying to be more in that abundance mentality point of view, because for most of my life, honestly, even though it may seem like I'm a very positive person, and I try to be, it doesn't come naturally to me. And so that's something that I'm always working on. That's why I'm reading so many books. That's why I'm trying my best every day to be a better person, because I'm not always a great person. Like, I'm not always feeling positive. I don't always have a lot of energy. And I know what it's like to feel like that. I know what it's like to always feel like you could be doing so much more with your life, or that you were blessed with so much opportunity or privilege, or like a head start in certain ways, and always wondering if you're squandering or wasting your potential. I feel like that all the time. I feel like that almost every day, in fact. And so it oscillates. Sometimes I feel great. Sometimes I feel like I'm really locked in. I'm really in the pocket, in the groove, really living my purpose. And some days I just feel like a big piece of poop. And this week I've been going back and forth. And yeah, I want to talk about some of that. So first things first, this is a quote. I'm going to start things off. It's from a book I've finished. I've talked about this book a few times before. It's called Lives of the Stoics by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. And basically it's about some Stoic philosophers from ancient times. And it's one of the philosophies that I really like. Obviously, it's not perfect. It's not everything either. And of course, even within the philosophies, different philosophers have different interpretations. But I really think, especially during these times, in times of uncertainty, with COVID-19, with the world being the way it is, with the future being ever more uncertain, Stoicism has its place. This philosophy that reminds us we don't really control very much. We can only control ourselves. We can control our actions. We can control our interpretation of things and how we think. But a lot of things is up to chance. It's up to whether we like it or not. A lot of things we cannot control. We cannot control whether tomorrow I get hit by a car. Hopefully I don't, but I can't control that, for example. And so here's a quote from the book that I want to start with, and it goes like this. In an unpredictable world, the only thing we can really manage is ourselves, and that the space between our ears is the only territory we can conquer in any kind of certain and enduring way. Again, that space between our ears is the only territory we can conquer in any kind of certain and enduring way. From Lives of the Stoics. And this is a really big well, this is where it begins, because really the whole theme of today is mentality. It's about how do we think? Because the way we think is the only thing that we can really control. I want to talk a little bit about this abundance mentality, scarcity, or poverty mentality thing, because it's something that I've always wrestled with. Something that I've always been. Look, in every book that you read on any sort of psychology or self-development, they're going to talk about something like this. In almost everything I've ever read about great athletes, great people, great whatever, whether it's biographies, whether it's interviews or articles or just talking to great people, mentality plays a key role. A lot of people will talk about their mentality, their drive to succeed, or maybe they have the humility to keep going, or the humility to admit that they're wrong. There's so many different things. But one common theme is that most people who succeed, whatever that means, I don't know what success means, but most people who succeed, they seem to have a mentality that they believe in themselves, that they think it's possible, that they believe that the future can be better and that they can get it. They can work hard. They can achieve what they want to achieve. This is something that I've always wrestled with, because I've always wondered if, when I read all these books, if, they're just trying to sell the book, right? Like if it's just a woo-woo, like it sounds so obvious. It sounds almost too obvious. Like, of course, if you want to succeed, you have to believe in yourself. It just sounds a little bit, I guess it's helpful in certain aspects, but sometimes it doesn't seem enough. It doesn't seem like the whole picture. And yet, without this belief, without this positivity to start, it's very hard to keep going, because if every day you think you're going to fail, you're probably not going to do it anyway. You're probably not going to start anyway, whether it's making a podcast, whether it's studying something, going back to school, starting a new job, starting a family, moving to a new country. You have to believe at some level that you will succeed, that on some level it's worth it, whether it's for this life, whether you believe in religion, in the next life. You have to believe that there's a purpose, that there's a point. Otherwise, everything really is meaningless, and meaningless in the sense of there's no point to doing it, so why do it at all? This is always, I don't know, it's always been something that I've wrestled with, because I'll tell you, fundamentally, I do believe that life is inherently meaningless. And I want to explain what I mean. I don't mean meaningless that there's no point. I mean meaningless in the sense that we, as humans, as people, as individuals, we get to decide the meaning for our lives. And everyone's meaning might be different, and that's okay. We don't have to fight each other. We don't have to kill each other to say, my meaning is more important than yours, and so you have to believe in mine. No. I think that, and these are personal opinions, I believe that we, in our lives, whether we create it or whether we discover it or whether we choose it, we can find the meaning in our lives. And so in that regard, I don't think life is meaningless, because it's that Mark Twain quote, right? The two most important days of your life it's the day that you're born and the day you find out why. And I guess for me personally, if I'm being totally honest, one thing that I've been thinking about this week is just that second part, that purpose thing. I don't know. I really don't know what my purpose is. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. To be honest, every day, like day to day, I'm pretty happy in the sense that right now I'm walking a lot. I'm still walking my 10,000 steps. It's week 3. I'm still doing it, even though some days I really don't want to. I'm enjoying teaching. I've got great students, and I like it. Teaching is one of those things where it's one of the very few things, like jobs and work-wise, I've said a million times before, but the time just flies. Like I start teaching and then boop, the class is over. And I'm really blessed. I'm really fortunate for that. Also, Arsenal won today, so I'm really, really happy for that. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel really purposeless. And if you feel like this too, it's normal, it's normal. And I want to say, and maybe people know this already, but I want to help normalize, or I want to maybe reassure you that it is also normal to feel pointless or to feel purposeless when things are good, right? We often hear about things when things are bad, but it happens when things are good too. And that's kind of the situation I'm in right now. To be honest with you, there's nothing to complain about. My life is pretty good, all things considered. It's just, I don't know. And I feel like a poop. I feel like maybe I'm being just spoiled. Maybe I am. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just spoiled. Maybe I'm just trying to find a problem when there is no problem. But to be honest, yeah, some days I feel quite purposeless. And one thing that I remember in almost all these like self-development books or all these books, psychology books and stuff, a lot of them talk about this idea of a concrete purpose. So in order to achieve anything, a lot of them say that you need to have a concrete desire. You need to know what you want, a definitive purpose. If you don't know what you want, you're never going to get there. And I've always struggled with this because I have no idea what I want most of the time. Or I want too many things. It's like, when you go to a restaurant and you look at the menu, and this is a restaurant and it's a new restaurant, so you've never been there before, and you just think, I want to try a little bit of everything. And this is why having friends or having a boyfriend or girlfriend is amazing, because then you get to, share. But if you're all alone, you're hungry, but you don't want to eat everything, it's very tough. And that's kind of how I feel like sometimes. I want to do everything, but I don't have that thing, like sometimes when you read biographies or when you read about people, they always say, like when I was a kid, I always dreamed about this. I saw this problem in the marketplace. I always knew this was it. Or I had this experience and suddenly I knew my life's calling. I've never had that. I don't know if people are just saying this to market themselves. I don't know if people actually feel like this. I don't know if something's wrong with me. I've never had it. Currently 27 years old. Maybe it happens later. I'm not sure. Maybe it happens when I'm 30 or 40. I always remind myself every time I think about this. Number one, there is no timeline for things, right? Like some people figure it out earlier, some people figure it out later, some people never figure it out. That's fine. But I want to believe that trying to figure it out, caring about it, hopefully it will help me figure it out. And I always remind myself, this is kind of stupid. I always remind myself when I'm taking a shower and when I feel really like down on myself, I always remind myself that Colonel Sanders started KFC when he was, I have no idea, I think 65, 40 something, older than where I am now. So there is always hope. Oops. Why do I keep hitting my microphone? There is always hope. But that is something that I do think about all the time, which is, some people seem to know. Some people seem to know what career they want. Some people seem to know all this stuff. And I'm here thinking, I'm doing a job I like. I really enjoy. I could even say I'm doing a job I love. I'm doing something I'm currently pursuing at a higher level. I love languages. I love teaching. I love helping people. And yet, why do I feel purposeless? Why do I feel like I don't know the end game? I don't know in 10 years, do I want to be here? Do I want to be there? Am I still going to be in Canada? Am I still going to be teaching? Will I be at this school? Will I have my own school? I have no idea. And I wonder if often is something wrong with me? Or am I just stupid? I don't know. I don't know. I've always wondered because I have too many questions my whole life. My mom was always saying, stop asking. I would always, Mom, I have a question. And my mom would always answer, just one. And I love you, Mom, if you're here, if you're listening to this. But it's just funny because it's true. I mean, my whole life is just questions. I'm probably really annoying because all I do is ask. All I do is talk and think and talk. And this abundance and poverty thing. I mean, one thing that really comes to mind is I was looking at some things this week, and for the poverty thing, it's really easy to feel that scarcity mindset, that fear mindset, if you've been hurt in the past, if you've been affected in some way in the past. And I always think back, possibly, my parents' divorce. I mean, I'm not I'm not sure. And to be honest, sometimes I think about it like, at this point in my life, I think this is the year where officially in my life, I've spent more of my life now with my parents divorced than with my parents together. And sometimes I think it's not an excuse. You know what I mean? Like, on one hand, a lot of our traumas from our childhood especially affect the way we are now, whether our romantic partners, whether it's our business opportunities, our jobs, our outlook on life can be very affected by our experiences in the past. Whether we've been hurt, whether we've been loved, it's all tied in together. And yet, on the other hand, sometimes I think JJ, stop. Like, just let it go and just stop trying to look back to figure out what's going on now. So I don't know. Again, I have no idea. Sometimes I do wonder if the divorce thing affects something, like the scarcity, that feeling of always, at any moment, I could lose everything. And that's something that I feel a lot, to be honest with you. All this. Right now I have a place I'm living in. I have a job I really enjoy. I have a great life. I have great friends. I have great loved ones. Great family. And I'm always afraid, every single day. Every moment, actually, if I'm not paying attention, I'm always afraid that I could lose all of it. That if I open my eyes, it would just disappear. And maybe it was all a dream. And now that as I'm saying this, maybe it's the first time I've said this in a while, but maybe that's where it is. And so I'm afraid to dream sometimes. And it's funny because I can see the best in other people, and I can see the potential in others, and yet sometimes I can't see that potential in myself. And it's weird. I know it's strange because obviously when you hear it from other people, it feels good. I'm not going to lie. When other people say, no, you can do it, you're amazing, blah, 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 blah. But then, do you believe it yourself at the end of the day? And that's a different question. It reminds me of things like, I think back to like Robin Williams. He killed himself, even though he was on top of the world. Anthony Bourdain. Both of them, Robin Williams and Anthony Bourdain, I look up to. And they killed themselves, even though they had, for all our purposes, intents and purposes, for what we know, great lives. What was enough? And I do want to make it clear, mental health is an important thing. And right now I'm not in any sort of that kind of space in terms of like suicidal thoughts or anything. And I do want to make it clear that if those are things that you're feeling, please, 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 please talk to someone. Please talk to a professional. It's really important. And it's okay if you feel like that. Like, if you feel any sort of those kind of feelings, you're not crazy. You're not. And I just want to make that clear. And yeah, personally in my life right now, those are the things that I'm wrestling with because I want to be positive, and I'm afraid that if look at the thing at what I'm saying. I'm afraid that if I'm positive, I'm just lying to myself. I'm just trying to dream again. I'm just trying to dream. It's just a dream. That's what I'm afraid of. Obviously, the thing to counter it is action, right? Like, I think positive, but then I have to act. I try my best to do stuff. Like, I'm walking for my health. I'm trying to eat right, trying to make sure I stay hydrated. I try to sleep. I try to sleep more. I try to sleep well. I try to have great relationships, try to do my best every day at work. I'm podcasting, I'm making YouTube videos, I'm writing, kind of, practicing languages, all this stuff. Then I'm dancing. I'm doing all this stuff, so I'm acting. That's my insurance. That's my way to counteract the fact that maybe it's just wishful thinking. But anyway, that's the biggest goal. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just blathering on. I have other stuff I wanted to. Oh, there is one thing I wanted to say before I finish. But that's the main goal, and that's the thing I'm wrestling with this year. I'll keep you posted, of course, because you're going to hear from me every week if you're watching this or listening to this. And thank you. I don't know why you're watching or listening, but thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, that's something that I'm wrestling with a lot, which is I want to think positive. I tell people to think positively because I know fundamentally, I always think of it in terms of this. Whether I think positive or I don't think positive, I'm going to find out in the future what's going to happen. I might not control that. But what kind of what kind of life do I want to live? Like, if I think positively and it goes wrong, okay. If I think negatively and if it goes wrong, okay. But in that case, in those two scenarios, if I think negatively, it's going to hurt more when it goes wrong because I'm thinking bad all the time anyway. It's like if you're angry all the time or scared all the time, life just isn't fun. Even when you succeed. Let's say I'm positive and I succeed, I'll be happy. I think maybe. But if I'm negative and I succeed, I'll think that it was just, a fluke, a lie, a joke. And whatever happens, no matter what we see around us, what's in our head, you cannot run away from that. Or I cannot run away from that. No matter where I travel, no matter how much money I make, no matter how much success I have in the material world, I can't control. What was it? Sorry. I can control. Wait, I don't actually know if I can or can't. But this stuff in here, if this is not happy, none of that stuff will make a difference. If in your brain you don't feel good, doesn't matter about the other stuff. It's just empty. At least for me. I really envy the people who, if you buy something, you can just feel good. I really envy those people because it doesn't happen to me. Doesn't. No matter what I do, no matter where I go, it's the brain is still there. And so I think that's really important to work on. The mentality, the way you look at life. And it's a balance because, and this is the last thing I wanted to say, survivorship bias. We hear, in psychology, we hear the success stories and they stand out to us, but we don't see the statistics. For every one person that succeeds, maybe millions of people fail. We don't know that, but we don't hear their stories because it's not sexy. We don't like to hear the stories of random people who failed and lost everything. We like to hear the story of the person who had nothing and got everything because that makes us believe we can do it too. So there might be survivorship bias, right? Like all the people who you think, or in our lives that say, think positive and it works, maybe they're the ones who succeeded and they, by chance, who knows? Or maybe it was because they thought positive. And so I'm still thinking about that. I have no idea. But then you can flip it the other way. Like maybe people who thought positive and failed or thought negative and failed. I don't know. What is the what's the cause? What's the effect? What's the correlation? I don't know. I have no idea. And so it could be survivorship bias. There could be that at play. But at this moment in time, my hypothesis is still it's much more fun to enjoy living every day, thinking abundantly, like thinking instead of thinking what could go wrong, think what could go right. And that's something that I don't do enough of, and I want to do more because I'm very good at thinking what could go wrong. In fact, for most of my life, that's the reason why I never made this podcast sooner, or that's the reason why I didn't make a YouTube channel sooner because or dance sooner on Instagram, because all my life I've been afraid of what could go wrong. I was always afraid people will laugh at me, people think it's stupid, maybe people don't even look at all, which is fine. And whatever. I always took myself too seriously. I always took life too seriously. I was afraid to do everything. I was afraid to get a job because what if I fail and suck? I was afraid to apply for this, apply for that. Sometimes I'm too afraid to go eat lunch because I'm like, what if what if I order the wrong thing and don't like it? Like it can be that stupid sometimes, or silly. And yeah, I know already the irony and the hypocrisy maybe that I try my best to say, please be compassionate to others. And I try my best to do that to others too. But the hardest person to be compassionate to is yourself, at least for me. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. And maybe if you've been feeling some type of way because of COVID or life, I hope that you can be compassionate to yourself too, because you're important. You're the only you that you've got. You are the only you that you have got. You're the only you that you've got. So take care of yourself. And that's where I'll end off with for today. That's the hypothesis. I'll update you next week. If I'm still thinking about this next week, I'll update you, whatever new things I think about. But this is where I think. In life, we have no idea what will happen in the future. Whether we think positively or think abundantly, whether we think of the possibilities instead of the fears, whether we're driven by hope or by fear, I don't know if it matters. But I believe that life is more interesting, more fun, and you will act in better ways or more interesting ways when you think of hope, when you think in terms of what could happen. I made this podcast. I bought this microphone. I'm doing this thing on YouTube as well because I thought, why not? Why not try it out? On Instagram too. Why not? And so far, it's still better than just sitting on my butt watching Netflix. And now after I make this, I can still sit on my butt and watch Netflix. So why not? Why not try whatever it is that you're thinking of doing or thinking of learning? Why not do it? If it's good, I mean, like if it, like a good thing, hopefully. Why not? Why not let it fly? Right? So that's the hypothesis. For now, I want to choose hope. I want to choose the fact that even though naturally, my natural instinct at this moment in time, and maybe it's not natural, maybe when I was a kid, I was actually a lot more hopeful. Maybe this instinct has been tainted or changed based on my experiences, based on my personal traumas in my life. But I want to learn to override that and be in control at the very least of how I think or how I perceive events or my perspective, my interpretation. And I want to choose abundance. I want to choose positivity and not that fake positivity stuff like, be positive every day. No. I understand that life, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes you're going to feel bad and that's okay too. And yet, in those moments, you can still choose to be positive tomorrow. You can still choose to try your best tomorrow. And that's what I want to do with my life. At least in 2021, that's what I want to look for. And maybe, hopefully, I'll find my purpose or whatever that means. Maybe I won't, but at the very least, it's going to be more fun every day. So that's it for today. It was kind of all over the place. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching and for commenting or for messaging me. It really means a lot because most of the time it just feels like I'm talking to myself, which is fine too. I do quite like it. And if you like talking to yourself, totally okay. Totally okay. But yeah, that's it. Please, everyone, have a great weekend. Stay safe. And I'll talk to you next week. That's JJ out.